Welcome to episode 9 of the Stray Dog Footy podcast. This is Frodo, your stressed and depressed Florida Bulldog. I hope you're doing well and keeping safe. As for me, I've just talked myself off of the edge and came back inside. No real worries. I only live on the second floor. But if the Bulldogs' last 3 matches are any indication of the future, one of these days I may just jump anyway. I mean, losing a match you were supposed to win is bad enough, but the great start we had against St. Kilda and then the disintegration of our defense for the last 3 quarters was soul-crushing. The only thing good about it is the fact that there isn't much time to dwell on it this time. We are back at it in just a few days against our arch-nemesis, the Greater Western Sydney Giants. This wasn't the case with our previous 2 losses. The dismaying finals performance against these same Giants last year was followed by the off-season. And our round 1 dismantling by Collingwood was followed by the COVID League suspension. What is most disappointing right now is that so many Americans are discovering AFL for the first time. There is almost no sport broadcast on TV right now here, unless you count Korean baseball and cornhole throwing, and more Americans are searching for an AFL team to support. We are looking at a totally unprecedented opportunity right now, and sitting at the bottom of the standings, or ladder as it is called in Australia, makes the Bulldogs a tougher sell right now than I had hoped. However, I keep working other angles. In my opinion, the Bulldogs' colors, logo, Guernsey, team song, history, mascot, and spirit are among the best. Hell, I'd go as far as to say the best in the league. I'm also seeing this current situation as a personal opportunity, and I will go into that a bit more later. First, let's talk about round 2. First off, Footy rebooted, and we had the much anticipated clash between Collingwood and Richmond, and it was, from all accounts, an unmitigated disaster. One of the lowest scoring games I have ever seen, and the weeks off due to COVID clung to the skill executions like a lead albatross. But honestly, I didn't even notice this so much during the game. I was just so happy to have live footy back in my life. Even though it resulted in a flat-feeling draw, I still enjoyed it tremendously. Next, we had Geelong and Hawthorn. The Cats are notoriously hard to beat at home, and the second half they really turned up the heat and put a hurting on the Hawks. Up in Queensland, despite a late surge by the Dockers, the Brisbane Lions proved too much for Fremantle. Now, if there ever was a team happy about the shorter quarters this season, it has got to be the Melbourne Demons. They blew out Carlton early, but the Blues kept crawling back minute by minute, and fortunately for the D's, time ran out and they were victorious by a single point. An unusual thing that happened was the bit of controversy concerning the singing of the team song, of all things. As new captain Max Gawn was wrapping up a post-game interview out on the field, most of his Demon teammates went into the locker room and celebrated their win by singing the song without him. Just a simple oversight, I'm sure, but it certainly felt a bit awkward, especially considering that it was Max's first win as skipper. Whoopsie, I guess. Moving on. Port beat Adelaide by the largest margin ever in a South Australian showdown match. Might be kinda awkward, considering they will practically be roommates as they head to the hub up north. Next came probably the biggest surprise of the round, as the reigning Wooden Spooners, Gold Coast Suns, gave the highly touted West Coast Eagles a proper spanking. Now I have to say, I kinda loved it. I have nothing against West Coast at all. But, since after Bulldogs' glory, my main wish is for the great game of Australian rules to grow. This includes up in the Gold Coast, where the Suns have been treading water in a sea of rugby league fans for almost a decade without much success. In fact, every time there's talk of a new team, say in Tasmania or wherever, there's always the call to just move the Gold Coast Suns there. Well, they certainly showed that they are a team to be reckoned with this year, and that can only be a good thing. And wow, are the new recruits Ben King and Matt Rowell something else too. Here's hoping more Queenslanders get behind the Suns. Another surprise was North Melbourne defeating the GWS Giants by a healthy margin. North is kind of looking the real deal this year. So far, anyway. Next, we had a pretty tight match between the Sydney Swans and the Essendon Bombers, with the Dons just coming away with the chocolates. I actually went against the odds on this one and picked the winner. And lastly, we have the St. Kilda Saints and the Western Bulldogs. Well, my doggies looked good for about 10 minutes, and then the wheels came off the wagon. Oh well. Hopefully, we'll get it together this coming weekend. And speaking of next week, in round 3 we have Richmond and Hawthorn on Thursday Night Footy. I just learned that Dusty is out with a rib injury. Interested in seeing how losing arguably the best player in the league will affect his Tigers. Then on Friday Night Footy, we have my Bulldogs taking on the GWS Giants again. Now, I may be biased, but I think this is the most intense rivalry of the modern era. It may have a short history, but it is replete with a long list of incidents. I expect a very physical contest, to say the least. Saturday brings us 4 matches, starting with North versus Sydney. Can the impressive Kangas keep it up? We'll see. Then the Pies and the surprising Saints. I'm interested in seeing if St. Kilda is actually as good as round 2 seemed to indicate, or whether it was just our fault. Next, we have the Cats hosting the Blues at the Cattery. Considering how dominant Geelong are at home, most are predicting a blowout, but maybe the Blues can keep it close? We'll see. Then, at the same time, up in the Queensland hub, we have the Lions and Eagles. West Coast was embarrassed last week. Can they bounce back? Not if Zarco and co. have anything to say about it. Sunday brings us a clash between the surprising Suns and the disappointed Crows. I definitely think the term rebuilding will be bandied about Adelaide quite a bit for a while, but who knows what any given Sunday will bring. I'm not used to tipping Gold Coast to win, but there you go. And finally, we have Freo taking on ladder-leading Port Adelaide. Will the Power continue to dominate? Well, check your local listings, then tune in or set your DVR to this and the other round 3 matches and find out. Okay. I know right now the Bulldogs look like potential wooden spooners this year. And if you don't know, winning the wooden spoon means coming in last on the ladder. The absolute opposite of being a premiership winner. However, I have decided to take this current situation on as a personal opportunity. I'm always flapping my gums about my loyalty to the club. Win, lose, or tie, I'm a Bulldog till I die. Ad nauseum, I'm sure, to my family and friends. Well, now I can put my money where my mouth is. Let's talk memberships. Specifically, my Bulldogs memberships. And this might sound like I'm bragging, but I promise you that is not my intent. I'm just going to speak about my personal experiences with some of the various ways I and you can support your AFL club. Though some of these are Bulldog specific, I'm sure most, if not all clubs, have many similar options. Hopefully, people new to AFL memberships can learn something from my experience. And I can still be proud of my memberships without bragging, right? Alright, I currently hold 6 different Bulldogs memberships. I started out slow, my first season only getting the international membership that gives the Watch AFL app and some team kit. As I've said many times, it is a better way of getting the Watch AFL app than by going to watchafl.com directly. Don't get me wrong, no matter where you get it, the Watch AFL app is the best thing ever strung together by binary code, at any price. But by going through the club's international membership, at least that's what it's called at the Bulldogs, it's a little cheaper. You get the membership packet with cool stuff, and you are counted towards the official membership count. As I've said in past episodes, this gives you a certain sense of ownership and makes the game day experience that much more personal, even from the other side of the world. Next, I have a Western Bulldogs AFLW membership. I take just as much pride in our women's senior team. Our ladies won the premiership back in 2018, and it was one of the happiest days I can remember. Seeing photos and videos of that day brings a tear to my eye just as fast as the men's from 2016. Next, I have a Footscray Bulldogs membership. In case you were wondering, the Western Bulldogs used to be called the Footscray Bulldogs until the 1997 season. This was in the AFL, which used to be called the VFL until 1990. However, there was once the VFA, a Victorian state league which, to complicate things even more, changed its name to the VFL in 1996. The VFL today is a Victorian statewide league with many teams being sort of junior development teams for the AFL. For many years, the Williamstown Seagulls were the Western Bulldogs' junior squad. But in 2014, the Footscray Bulldogs came back into existence to be the junior developmental/rehab team in the VFL for the Doggies. My Footscray Bulldogs membership contributes directly to this junior side, and even grants me certain privileges should I ever be able to attend VFL matches. I did actually attend a few last year, and it was every bit as thrilling as a senior match, because between quarters, you could actually walk out onto the field and mingle with the players and coaches. And many of the players in the VFL spend a lot of time in the AFL and vice versa, for one reason or another. I highly recommend not missing VFL matches if you are in Melbourne. Likewise, I totally loved going to VFLW matches as well when I was there. I met so many AFLW players, and they are just the most well-spoken and sweetest young ladies you could ever meet. Unfortunately, there isn't a current Bulldogs VFLW membership, but if there ever is, I will purchase one immediately. Moving on. My membership number 4 is a sideline membership. This is basically an easy way to support your club with a minimum investment. It's kind of like an international membership without the Watch AFL app included. These are also an easy way to gift memberships. They get the membership pack with a hat or scarf and are still counted in the total club membership count. Win-win. Again, not to brag, but I may have gifted half a dozen of these to family and friends this year. My 5th membership is a pet membership. Yes, you heard that correctly. My dog, Leia, has been a Western Bulldogs member since she arrived at our home at about 9 weeks old. Even has the certificates to prove it. My last current membership is what they call the Bulldogs Backyard. It is basically a charitable donation, purchasing seats for disadvantaged children so they can go to a Bulldogs game when they otherwise would not have been able. Pretty neat idea, I think. So, the opportunity I spoke of was for me to add more memberships, despite the dog's current situation. Win, lose, or tie, Bulldog till I die, right? Though COVID has definitely added some major concerns and complications to my workplace, I am lucky that I'm still able to bring home a paycheck. So I feel it only right to pay it forward, if you will. And there's no place I'd rather my disposable income go than to my footy club. So I went to the Bulldogs website to peruse the various memberships I don't already have. I was wanting to add an EJ Whitten Social Club membership, as well as upgrade it to a Charlie Sutton Premiership Circle. But to be eligible for the EJ Whitten Social Club, I had to have at least a 5 game day membership already. As I cannot attend matches due to living on the other side of the world, I had never gotten one of these memberships. Looking around the website, I saw that a country membership included admission to 5 games, so this seemed perfect. I'd get the country, which lets me get the social club, which lets me upgrade to the Premiership Circle. Perfect. I love it when a plan comes together. Well, What's the old saying? Man plans and God laughs. I was unable to click on a purchase button for any of these memberships. After a few emails with the club, it was as I thought. With the current COVID restrictions, it is illegal for the club to sell memberships involving admissions to games. So, I will have to wait on adding these memberships until the ticket sales open up once more. When it does, I think I will also add an AFLW Ambassador membership as well. But, in the meantime, as I wait for these memberships to become available, I just today completed and sent my booking form for a premium Top Dog Coterie membership. Just seems an easier way to support the club. And I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty excited to be part of this somewhat exclusive group of supporters. So, like I said, I'm not bragging. I consider myself extremely lucky to be able to help out my club, especially during these tough times. And I'm proud to do it. Being a Footy Club member is so much more than wins on the field. Of course, that is important as well. And obviously, I don't expect anyone else to do what I do. Most people don't, and some are able to spend a lot more to help their club than I am. But I hope I shed some light on the different ways you can become an important member of your club. There are also more memberships that are suited for people who live in or near Melbourne, with names like general admission, reserved seats, and flexi memberships. These would be more like the various season tickets you can purchase for other sports leagues here in the USA. Maybe one day when I retire and my dream of living, at least part-time, near the kennel will come true, I will get some of these types of memberships as well. So I think that should just about write it up for now. As always, I thank you so much for listening. I would be so grateful if you would be kind enough to share a link to this podcast with your family and friends. It can be found on your favorite podcast player or at straydogfooty.podbean.com. And I would love to hear your questions and suggestions. If there is a certain topic or bit of footy history you would like me to cover, please let me know. You can reach me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at straydogfooty, and by email at straydogfooty@yahoo.com. Also, as always, I just wanted to mention that I'm not endorsed by or officially affiliated with either the Australian Football League or the Western Bulldogs, beyond being a huge fan and supporter. Likewise, I am not endorsed or affiliated with Peg and the Rejected, but I am a fan of their music. I would like to thank them for the use of their song, Red, White, Black, and Blue, which I used a portion of as the intro to this episode. I will also play us out to their entire song, and of course, leave a link in the show notes to their music. One last thing before I go. If you have access to Fox Footy, like with the Watch AFL app, or on your TV if you're lucky enough to live in Australia, don't miss this week's episode of Open Mic. The guest is none other than Moz himself, or recently retired Bulldog Dale Morris, as some call him, and it is a truly wonderful and insightful interview. Possibly my favorite open mic episode ever. I laughed, I cried, I even learned something. Check it out if you haven't already. Alright, take care, footy lovers, stay safe, and enjoy this weekend's Round 3 AFL action. And for the love of all that is holy, may the real Western Bulldogs please show up.